idea of the pain is for you to pause, to think and say, what can I learn from this? What am I missing? Any pain that is especially a pattern or something that consistently happens to you has a message for you. I'm doing what I love doing, but I'm not happy, right? That's because those other elements are missing. So the frame of whatever you do is the day. Fix your day, you fix your life. You knowing is of no value. You doing is of great value.
Hey, you are listening to Dream 100 Business Show podcast with Savita Husamane. Welcome to Dream 100 Business Show podcast, listener. In this episode, I'm excited to introduce our guest for today. He is an award-winning thought leader and a certified NLP mindfulness and a life wisdom coach. He is Mr. Sriram, who is on a mission to transform lives. Sriram brings a wealth of insights into personal development, happiness habits, and navigating life's challenges. In our chat, Sriram will share practical tips on identifying personalized happiness habits, overcoming obstacles, and the profound impact these habits can have on our lives. So get ready for inspiring success stories and expert advice on integrating happiness both into personal as well as into our professional sphere. Stay tuned as Sriram sheds light on measuring progress in happiness coaching as well. There is an evolving demand for these services. So without any further ado, let's jump in to have this insightful conversation with Sriram, who will guide us to a happier and a more fulfilling life. A warm welcome to you, Sriram. Welcome to Dream 100 Business Show, Sriram. It's truly an honor and pleasure to have a happiness coach with us, and that too on a Monday morning. Happiness, it's the right way to start off. Well, we would like to know what inspired you to start off with something as an abstract subject like happiness coaching.
Yeah. See, I've been doing personal development work for about maybe 15 to 20 years. But about 9 years ago, I had an episode where I thought I was going to get a heart attack, or I was told I was getting a heart attack. And, and those few hours, I thought I might actually die. And that was the time that I decided that, because by the time I was already doing well, by industry or by, our standards of society, I had a house, good cars, kids were doing well. So all of that was fine. But on the inside, there was an emptiness. Okay. And I was anyway, trying to, because the promotion, the next hike and all of that was not giving me the kind of satisfaction that I thought I will get. But you're working very hard for it. And when this incident happened, at that point of time, I decided that, that I had to do something different, that I had to do something more with my life. And that was the point in time. And it actually didn't start with happiness. It started actually with just doing more with my life. And I started exploring personal productivity. When I was doing personal productivity work, I realized that peak productivity cannot happen if you're not living your purpose, if you're not actually engaged, if you're not happy. And that is how, the movement to happiness happened. And then post that, I realized that, there's lots to be done over here. And then I left my job and now I'm doing this full time.
Awesome. So each one of us have got different purposes, and happiness means differently to different people. But how do you help people to identify their unique purposes and help them to cultivate those kinds of habits, which you call as the happiness habits?
Good question. There are different ways, obviously, but the key is that all of us have a unique gift. There's absolutely no doubt about that. We all have something unique about us. If we can learn to maximize that unique potential, that becomes our purpose. And if we can use that further as a contribution to do some good to others, okay, everything in the world is built, to help each other. If you look at nature, everything serves a purpose. There's nothing without a purpose. And we also have a purpose. And one of those is, there are two parts to it. One, use your unique strengths, your gifts, and, kind of bring it to the table. Second is, use it to help somebody, in some way or form. It can be one person, it can be a million people, doesn't matter. That's not the thing, but it has to be as a contribution. These are the elements of a purpose. Now, how do you obviously identify your strengths is, Go back to see what you love doing, what you have been good at doing. Okay. And what are your values? Okay. Bring all those elements in and then see, okay, because purpose is not something where you discover something completely different from who you are. It has always been a part of who you are, but perhaps a part which was not expressed enough because you got sucked into the element of, I want to run after money, right? So sometimes we just need to go back and see. And that comes from saying, what do I love doing? Not entertainment. People say, I love watching movies. That is entertainment. That's just, you want your brain to shut and not do anything. That's not where you're engaging yourself. There's an expression involved in this. What are the things that you love doing where you are expressing a thought, expressing an idea, expressing through food, expressing through, counseling or through parenting. It could be any number, through art, etc. So that is the thing, how discover what you love doing as a thing, and then see how that can serve others and how, what are your values? Because you want them to be integrated with who you are, how you want to do stuff. If you can bring in those elements, then it starts surfacing the thing. And it's like a puzzle. It's like an onion where you peel one layer, something else comes, it comes. So it's not like, oh, I want to find my purpose, I'll find it tomorrow. Somebody may, but most people don't. Most people, it is this whole unraveling. And that's the mystery of life. It's not meant to happen in a minute. It's meant to be unraveled to you. That's the thing. It's like if you know the ending of the movie, there's no point in the movie, right? The suspense has to get built. You have to do the work to unravel it. Now, in terms of how I use it, right? My thing is that from a habits perspective or happiness habits, there are a few must-dos, which I feel everybody must do, which includes things like your meditation, breath work, journaling, visualization, exercise, learning. These are all must-dos, irrespective of, where people are, what they are. You must find time to incorporate these into your life because these are just absolute game changers. After having said that you must do, I give people choice, saying that, okay, where do you want to start? And how do people exercise that choice is from what do I need most right now? What is holding me back the most right now? Is it perhaps a relationship? Is it perhaps anger? Is it perhaps lack of focus? Then that will give you a sense of what your choice should be. And then you go back and then pick your things that you want to institute.
Awesome. What are the challenges or obstacles do you think people face in identifying? Like you said, that it is not that you can identify it within a day or two, or though it is a part of us, many a time we will be ignorant to what is it that is there within us, which is our strength, which we can utilize it to the maximum.
So there are two gifts that we've been given. We have been given the gift of insight and awareness, and we've been given the gift of pain. Okay. So those are the two ways for us to find out, which is through self-introspection. It gives you insight, right? Through self-awareness. What am I good at? What do I love doing? What makes me come alive? Why does it make me come alive? Is it something that I enjoy doing? Have I been doing it? Do I know I'm good at it? All that is insight. Then the pain is there is a way in which, you're getting pushed into doing what you're meant to do. And that happens when you take the wrong decisions, like a GPS. It goes and says, this, I will give you a speed breaker because you're not supposed to go this way. And or I'll put a bumper over there so that you turn. But often we just want to go the same way as a thing, right? So pain then intensifies. But the idea of the pain is for you to pause, to think and say, what can I learn from this? What am I missing? Look at these two things, saying, one is from the strength perspective and one is from the angle of what's not working. What are the biggest challenges that I'm having? Those are all clues for you to go back and say, it is not working because something that I'm doing is not right. Okay. Often we just want to sit in blame of situations and others and judgment and all of that. All of that doesn't work. Any pain that is especially a pattern or something that consistently happens to you has a message for you. If you can uncover that message and use it to say, okay, I'm constantly having issues in relationship, right? Then there is a clue over there, not to say that, okay, that person has to change or they will not change, world will not change, but saying, what am I doing wrong here? And when you say, okay, I need to perhaps learn to forgive, I need to learn to let go, then that can say, as I let go, as I become freer, then your creativity emerges. Till then you're stuck. So these are interlinked things. These are not like, that's why I'm saying that it's not something that will flash like that. But if you can do both these, to look at your insights, your strengths, and ask those questions, and if you can look at your pain points and say, what message am I not getting so far? What can I learn from this? Then that takes you on the path. It starts you off on the path. And if you continue on that path, you will find your purpose. There is no doubt.
Awesome. Sometimes, though you know your purpose, it might not be monetarily fulfilling you, though you are pursuing it with lot of passion. So, there also a kind of inner dissatisfaction is there. So, in such cases, how do you address it?
There are two parts to this, and they are fairly big parts. My point one is that if you give enough value, you will get back. That's a law of the universe. It works. And hence, if it is not giving you enough monetary benefit, there is some block that's holding you back. And your only answer to that is, how do I increase the value of what I'm giving? Maybe it needs a different strategy. Maybe it needs to reach more people, etc. So that is the answer for that question. Saying if I'm not making it monetarily, I am blocking it in some way. Identify that. Okay. Second, on the purpose itself, sometimes we have actually different purposes in life. One is the purpose of, material purpose, which is my skill, how do I earn a living? But you also have, karmic purposes. You also have spiritual purposes. Your karmic purposes is to pay off some debts. And sometimes if you ask that question, why are bad things happening to good people? It's because somewhere there is a debt that needs to be paid off. And at that time, you don't blame or you don't ask that question, but you just go through it gracefully. To accept it, saying that this is happening. And if there's something that I can learn from it, it's good, but I accept it and I go through it gracefully so that I don't create more negative karma out of it, right? The third is a spiritual, which is about your evolution as a soul. And that is for you to learn to be a good human, to say, I want to be a good person, a good human, okay, who lives with gratitude, with forgiveness, who's without judgment, and all the higher value elements is what we are meant to evolve. So because our evolution is basically for us to make us realize that eventually enlightenment is like you are like God, or you have the God particle and you have to realize it within you. Right? What is the quality of God? That is the quality that we need to experience and get. And that takes time. So it takes many lifetimes. And, in this lifetime, we have a few things that we have to work on. If we work on that. So that's why, when people say, okay, I'm doing what I love doing, but I'm not happy, right? That's because those other elements are missing. You have not learned to let go. You've not learned to forgive. You've not learned to be grateful, which is where the disconnect is even for people who say, oh, I'm an actor and I love kind of doing it and I'm getting a lot of money. But why is it that I'm still unhappy? You're unhappy because there is something else that you've not learned.
Wow, this is an amazing explanation. So can you share a transforming real life success story?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about two instances of myself because, I'm still a work in progress. I don't think I've reached a level where I'm mastered everything, but I'm in a place where I think I can help others because I've gone through that path and maybe at a higher plane than what people are going through. Two things I want to talk about. One is gratitude. So when I started, I was extremely logical. I'm very curious, but very logical. And, I've been in corporate. So you ask those questions, right? But after this incident, then I was more open to practicing certain things. And when I started doing gratitude, I started a small exercise where I would write things I'm grateful for, or in the, kind of think about things that I'm grateful for and so on. But what happened is, as I kept doing this regularly, and I had coaches helping me, and I wasn't very disciplined at the beginning. So I had people pushing me to actually do it. But over a period of time, what happened was I noticed that the things that would irritate me, things that I would get, angry about, were not triggering me anymore. It happened over a period of time. And then what I realized was what gratitude had done to me was it had changed my outlook from looking for what is wrong to look for what is okay or what is right.
Mm-hmm.
But it was gradual, but at a point, I realized that it's working. Then the whole transformation happened saying, oh, if it is doing this, it can do more. Then the whole thing is whenever I get the opportunity, I'm grateful for everything from the food on the table to, don't take anything for granted. Just, everything. You are perhaps living in the most comfortable time of the universe, not universe, at least our earth. And, you have no reason to complain. There are so many things that are working for you. Maybe 10% is not working, but all our focus is on that 10%. You amplify it, you make it your life. But what about the 90%? If you can just focus on that 90%, life is good. So that's the first, kind of thing. My second is about I had a fear of death. So I would run to astrologers and say, okay, will I live? I had had a late marriage and late kids and all that. So, that whole thing was okay. Am I going to be alive and things like that? So, and over a time through coaching and through exposure, I started doing journaling. So just through journaling, I was able to let go of the fear of death. Consistently writing, just writing. Because over a period of time, of course, you become a better person, you learn to trust, you learn to accept. And, the whole thing is that, but with journaling, that, you break that fear circle, right? And over, time, I got to be able to understand that if I have to die, I die. But what is important is to live well today.
Wow.
To accept that this is where you are, this is what you are. Do whatever you can today. If you can learn to be happy today, you can be happy tomorrow. That is the kind of thing. Don't worry about things that are not in your control. Yeah, if you can do things to make your life better, certainly invest in it, invest in good habits and do it. But don't bother too much about what you cannot control. And that whole, but it has to happen internally, right? It's easy to say it.
Correct.
But for that feeling to actually think, and from that time on, and the proof was I never went to an astrologer after that. I just stopped, and kind of now, even now somebody will say, why don't you go check and all that? And say, okay, maybe not. There's no intensity to, kind of say, oh, hey, I have to run after somebody and go and get some, clue of what's going to happen.
Awesome. This is amazing. So how do you think happiness habits can be integrated into our work as well?
See, I'm a proponent that whatever you do it in the frame of your day. That's the key. And that is why all religions in the past have always insisted on your daily routines. They didn't call it happiness habits, okay? But they had these routines. Your namaz is a routine. Your saying grace is a routine. Your yoga is a routine, okay? Your chanting of mantras is a routine, because they realize that these are things that you have to do every day. And if you do it every day, what happens is these things go and manipulate the same happiness chemicals that give you pleasure, but they do it very gradually and they take it up in a way that it doesn't come down. Whereas with pleasure, what happens, it goes up and comes down. And when it comes down, you don't feel good. You want to chase pleasure again. Whereas with these practices, what it does is gradually it increases these chemicals in your system so that after a point of time, you automatically become grateful. Automatically depression goes away. Because they've increased the proportion in your system. That is how these things work. So the frame of whatever you do is the day. Fix your day, you fix your life. That's the clue. Now, what will you do in that, kind of day in the context of work, especially? Two, three things I would recommend. One is focus on your breathing. I have a short exercise, which is called a minute to arrive, which is just take deep belly breaths. Between 3 to 7 breaths. Typically, it takes about 6-7 breaths in a minute. But even if you don't have 1 minute, you can do 3 breaths. But do that for certain particular events. Like if you're taking a lift to go to office, do, deep belly breaths in the lift. When you're entering your, workspace, do deep belly breaths. When you're going for a meeting, entering that room, just take deep breaths. When you're coming back, finishing work, you do that. You're entering the house, do that. When you're starting your car, do that. So if you can just train yourself to do that, what happens is the body and mind learn. And they start doing it when you actually are stressed or when you need it. That's the way these practices work. So one would be just, deep belly breaths whenever you can, at least 5 times a day. If you do it, then it's a life-changing thing. Simple, but sometimes in India, especially, I see that if something is simple, right, we tend to, kind of look down upon it, saying, oh, all this is, I want something more complicated. It's not challenging enough. It's challenging enough. Try to do it 5 times. It's a big challenge. It's not easy because you'll forget, right? It's not difficult, but you'll forget. Sustaining it, doing it consistently is. So that's the first thing. Second is I recommend a practice called empty your mind, which is before you start your work day, especially, just write down everything that is going on in your head. Just that activity, it takes maybe about, you could put a timer also, 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes max as a thing, not more than that. In that time, if you just say, everything that is going on in my head, I want to write down. What happens is that we have many thoughts and many of them are repetitive thoughts. If you don't address that, it keeps coming back. Oh, you have to pay this bill. Oh, you have to pay this bill. Did you pay this bill? No. What if you forget? Things like that. So if you just write down everything and you have a good one pager of what all you need to do, then it gives you the ability to prioritize. After that, then you can choose, saying that some of them I will bunch and do, some of them I'll put on my calendar, some of them I'm not going to do, some of them you give it away to somebody. And then you write about 5 things which you must do. These are things which are important and, sometimes urgent. But don't forget the important. We always do the urgent because urgent is fire. Don't pay the bill, something will get shut down and hence you have to pay it, right? But that is urgent. But important sometimes is not, gets the less less think, because for important things you have to think. And the mind wants to watch Netflix. It doesn't want to think, right? So it has a natural ability to say, because its proper thing is to preserve you, to protect you, saying, keep your energy, stay alive. Why do you want to do all this thinking? As a thing, its purpose is different as a thing. So, but as an evolved conscious human being, we have to use the mind as a tool. That tool is for us to be able to use it productively, use it in the right way. And for that, you have to do the important things, which you will find resistance. If you can put those top 5, what I do is, in fact, I kind of display it in front of me. Okay. Because if you can write your big 5 and keep it in a place where you can see it, there is line of sight as a strategy, which then, because subconsciously, that keeps reminding you that those things have to be done. And invariably, if you can do that, you will hit between 4 to 5 things, in a day. And that will move the needle. There are many more things. I have an entire whole course around it. I do a 1-year program I did for my old corporation, taking it in pieces and explaining it to people and things. So there are many, many things, but start small, but do something, do consistently. That is the way to change.
So how do organizations benefit from these happiness habits?
It benefits the core, which is, if you can invest in this, immediately it increases engagement. People are doing a lot of parties and feel good things, celebrities and all of that. But all of that is pleasure. It increases temporarily. In a matter of few days, it's all forgotten. It is good because it gives opportunity for people to come together and all that. It's not bad but it's not enough. What you want is for people to change fundamentally, to feel good about themselves over a period of time. So that is what this does. When that happens, immediately your engagement increases. Today, the percentage of people actively engaged in corporations is just 30%. 70% are at different levels of disengagement.
Agreed.
So that much potential you have. And the reason they're disengaged, right? Because they're not feeling good about it. That's why they're disengaged. So crack that, increases your engagement. If your engagement increases, automatically your productivity goes up, your output goes up. Because people are doing it willingly. Not because you've asked people to work so many hours, but they're saying, I enjoy this as a thing, right? So that is the second part, which is that you learn to do this, you're engaged. Engagement leads to better productivity and output. And if your output is better, your profitability is going to go up. And as a result of all of this is that people stay back with you. They don't want to leave you. So your loyalty and attrition kind of goes down. Your cost of acquisition also goes down. So very, very core benefits. These are not, engagement scores, happiness score kind of thing. This is a fundamental, change where it will change your business, but it will not change it because you invested in a 1-hour session, right? This is a change in culture that we're talking about, Behavioral change, habit change, culture change doesn't necessarily cost too much money, but it needs a lot of conviction from the leadership, from the organization. But the benefits are huge because you can literally double your productivity that easily. 47% of our time, we are in our heads. We are distracted. Look at the time that people spend on the mobile, 4.5, 5 hours on an average, out of which assume that 2 hours you're doing good work. Remaining 2-3 hours is just going like that. There is huge potential for us to tap into, kind of thing where you could get people to engage their minds properly, reduce the distraction. But it is a science. Distraction happens for a reason. The brain is tired. It is stressed. It wants a break. That is why it's going there, right? So you need to address this holistically. And if you have the commitment to do it properly, guaranteed that it will change things.
Wow. So is there a method to track this? How do you track the changes which have happened?
It is not easy. First, of course, we can use the traditional method of assessment and surveys and all that. But what I find is those are all point in time things, right? Today I will be happy. Tomorrow I may not be happy. Day after something else. So depends on when I'm asking you that question. So you have to focus on the fundamentals. Fundamentals are that the results that you're looking for have to change. If I'm looking for weight loss, okay, and if I institute habits, finally it has to result in weight loss for the success to happen. The process and the investment needs to have a result, and the result has to be core, which is what matters to me. So in an organization also, it's the same thing, which is that because all of these scores are lead indicators or indicators of something else which is supposed to happen. So it has to be an indirect measurement as a thing, but the measures are actually your business outcome. If you can say, okay, I'm instituting this, but I'm looking for productivity improvement, which will give me an increased output of this percentage, then then we kind of say, okay, we've done all these things. Has it actually improved? Has it moved a little bit, not moved at all? Then you know if it's working or not working.
And do you think more and more people are receptive to this kind of happiness in inclusions in their organizations? And as people in general, do you think as individuals are approaching more or organizations are becoming more aware?
I think both are happening. Especially post-COVID, what's happened is that things have changed. The equation has changed. Individuals have realized that suddenly somebody who's around you is no more. That's not something that you expect or kind of thing. But then it's brought in a realization that life is not eternal. It is short. I need to do more things in life. I need to spend time with family. I need to be with my parents. I need to see the world. I need to invest in myself. So all of that, which people were typically thinking, I have lots of time, I will do it later when I become this. Suddenly those have become more important. People want to live a fuller life now, and hence your whole perception of happiness has changed. So there is certainly more interest from individuals to pursue some of these things, because that is a good thing that actually COVID brought in. In terms of corporates are literally, one is that they're trying to readjust to the expectations that this changed expectation that employees have, which is largely around flexibility. Problem with flexibility is corporates now are worried that the flexibility will cause a negative impact. But what if the flexibility can cause a positive impact? So we have to, but that needs conviction, right? That needs proof. Because I'm giving you flexibility, but I don't have evidence today that it will work. And I believe that people respond to trust. And, I've done that experiment in my previous firms where, we had a sick leave policy where it would be 12 days. And towards November, December, that average would suddenly go up from 7 to 10. So which means, suddenly people started falling sick more than too many people were falling, which means that people were, just because there was a limit, they were using it more, right? But suddenly we took it away and we said, you have unlimited sick leave. Okay. And if you really need it, you use it. Otherwise, we don't have to kind of think, but we know kind of questions. The average went down from a 10 to 7 and stayed at 7 or thereabouts for the next 5 years.
Wow.
It wasn't a one-time kind of a thing, right? And there were those occasional cases of abuse where one or two people would take advantage of, this model. And there we had to deal with them quite strictly. But it works if you can learn to trust people with the right, kind of thing, not just trust and let it go, right? But with the right, framework, people respond to it because they also understand that if they abuse it, after a point, it goes away. And so it is this whole combination that we have to tap in. Employees have to do a few things. They also have to give back because there is somebody investing, there's somebody putting in money, and they're not, just interested in you living a happy life, but they're also interested in becoming happy themselves as an organization. So you have to give back. And the organization has to bring in more human centricity. They have to trust employees. They have to, have a more positive outlook. They have to, kind of bring in elements of compassion, elements of care, elements of giving people, freedom with the right thing. Allow people to, follow their passions, give them that thing. If you can combine these two elements, then we have a very powerful recipe which works for both.
Awesome. So could you share some tips on how people can bring in life wisdom into their daily life practice?
Great. It's a great question. My one-line theme for that is pursue excellence, become limitless. Pursue excellence and become limitless. How do you do that? There are three things. One, work on your mindset. All of us have two voices in our heads, which are always at play. One is a positive voice telling you that you can do it. The other is a negative voice, which is always saying, hey, don't try all this. This is too much risk, or you won't be able to do it, and things like that. So you have to feed the positive voice so that is the one that helps you, kind of go forward, because then the positive voice will allow you to have a growth mindset. It'll allow you to learn. It'll allow you to experiment. And through that, you will make a bigger impact. So that's the first point, which is your mindset. Second is practice happiness habits. It's important. It will make a change. Your meditation, your breath work, journaling, visualization, learning, exercise. You have to do it. Okay. It'll make all aspects of your life better. And these are just non-negotiables. Just because meditation doesn't mean you're doing meditation. Do meditation, only then it benefits. We have this problem of I know, right? Correct. You knowing is of no value. You doing is of great value. So move from knowing to doing. that will change your life. Incorporate happiness habits. The last point is maximize your potential, which is what I initially referred to. Bring your uniqueness to the table, okay? Play to your strengths. Make sure that you're contributing to the world. If you can do these elements, you will come alive, and that is really the pursuit of excellence.
Awesome. So if people want to connect with you and know more about how they can bring in these habits into their lives, how do they connect with you?
I'm most active on LinkedIn. If you can just type in Sriram S Happiness, I will pop up. I'm doing a lot of posts over there, so you will know chance that you'll miss me on LinkedIn. Well, I also have my website, which is called happinesshabits.in. I've written a book, and it's in the same name right now. And I'm also there on Instagram. It's called Build Happiness Habits. So, there are different ways that people can reach out to me. I would, recommend LinkedIn as the most easy way to kind of reach out to me. And I'm happy to, kind of connect with people and help in any way that I can.
Awesome. So with this, we almost come to the end of this conversation. If you feel that we have missed out on any aspect of where you could add value, please go ahead and add.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk a little bit about my happiness framework. And I've already covered that in bits and pieces. But just to clarify that, there are 3 elements to that. The 3 elements are: one is called the happiness habits, which individuals who come to work need to become happier people, learn to make themselves happier. They will kind of become happier. They will kind of contribute better. The second is consciously, we need to kind of pursue excellence. We need to maximize our potential. And that happens by learning personal productivity. Okay. Individuals need to learn it. Teams need to learn it. Even teams, right? And there are ways in which teams can learn it. So if you can do that, then generally productivity kind of goes up. The third is you have to focus on leadership and culture and make the workplaces more human-centric. That is the theme of the future. That is the future of work. Already a lot of companies in the West have started doing it. The faster you do it, the more you'll be ahead of the curve. The more you delay that, the later it will take. It's because this whole model has evolved. It's already changed. We just have to catch up. We are still, as corporates, we want that element of control. So you're holding on to your old model. That won't work. Become more human-centric. So happiness habits, pursuit of excellence, and maximizing potential, human centricity. If all 3 are at play, the individual gets addressed, the team gets addressed, your leadership and culture gets addressed. And that is an extremely powerful formula to make your workplaces happier.
Wow. You summed it up beautifully.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you and understanding these various aspects. You made it very, very simple. Truly will make a difference to a person who is keen on making a difference.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
A big thank you to Sriram from the bottom of my heart for sharing his wisdom and experiences with us. So let's remember, the journey to happiness is unique for everyone. And with insights like this, we can all take a meaningful step towards a more fulfilling life, isn't it? We have delved into the world of happiness coaching, explored personalized happiness habits, and learned valuable tips for navigating life's challenges. Sriram's stories and expertise have undoubtedly left us with a fresh perspective on creating joy in our lives and fostering positive environments, be it at home or in the workplace. And with that, we wrap up another insightful episode of Dream 100 Business Show podcast with our incredible guest, Sriram. If you have enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share, and stay tuned for more enriching conversations. So until next time, bring a little more joy into your day, stay curious, and keep pursuing your path to happiness. And thank you so much for being such a wonderful listener. Thank you.